without deviation. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, the Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna because he knows perfectly well Krishna is the original supreme person, cause of all causes. Pure devotees are not even attracted to Krishna's other features, such as for a Mahavishnu. They're simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. Right? So even though at many other places, Srila Prabhupada does say that one can worship any of the forms of Krishna, but here we find Srila Prabhupada is very much fixed on the two-armed form of Krishna because that's the real Mahatma, or in one sense, the highest form of devotional service is from a comparative aspect. Of course, we do understand that all forms of the Supreme Lord are all transcendental, but still, we do understand that Krishna being Swayam Bhagavan, so therefore, the worship of Krishna definitely has, you could say, a higher position than other forms of Krishna also. So that's why here he's saying that the Mahatmas, they fix their attention only on the two-armed form and no other form. So that is mean of Ananya Manaso. Then what to speak of demigods and all that? So bhajanti Ananya Manaso Gyatva Bhutadim Avyayam, because they have the proper understanding that the Supreme Lord is Avyayam. He is original, inexhaustible. So here another important point Prabhupada is writing. How can one become a Mahatma? Yes. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. So the Mahatma title is not the prerogative of only a select few. Anyone can become Mahatma simply by association with other Mahatmas. That is the process. Anyone can become. Hmm. There is this pastime in Vrindavan. I'm trying to recollect this devotee's name. Uh, uh, who's this devotee who sponsored a good amount of money for the Krishna Balaram temple? Huh? No, Guru Kripa Prabhu, right. Yes. You can see his name is there right at the entrance, correct? Of the Krishna Balaram temple. You can see his name. Said he sponsored so much of money. So they did a huge fund collection from Japan. He had his team of devotees and they did quite aggressive collection in Japan. So anyways, so so he tells this pastime of how one day, in the middle of the night, Srila Prabhupada sent his secretary to call Guru Kripa, at that time Swami. So he was sleeping, he woke up, and the secretary was there. So yeah, so he said, "What do you want?" He said, "Prabhupada is calling." Why? I don't know, he's calling. So anyways, so he dressed him up, dressed himself well, and then he came to meet Srila Prabhupada. He offered his obeisances, and as soon as he got up, Srila Prabhupada asked him, "What were you doing?" So Guru Kripa Prabhu looked as if, what sort of question is this? No, obviously, I was sleeping. So Prabhupada immediately asked, "Why were you sleeping?" So he was a little bewildered, now what to say. So then he said, Srila Prabhupada, I was tired, therefore I was sleeping. And Prabhupada said, "But I'm not sleeping." Then he said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you can do that because you are Mahatma." And then Prabhupada said, "Why don't you become Mahatma?" Hmm. So, so the point is that that was Srila Prabhupada's expectation, that yes, anyone can become Mahatma. Hmm. By simply following the Mahatma, by the association of the Mahatma, anyone can become. So that is the important point. So by taking association, and that means by hearing, By following their instructions, that is how one can become Mahatma. So, what are the symptoms of the Mahatma? Next verse. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavratah namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport.
The Mahatmas cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in the chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising his holy name, his eternal form, his transcendental quality, and his uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, is not described as Mahatma in Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting out Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Devotion. Sranam Kirtanam Vishnu and Smarnam, remembering him. Such a Mahatma has formed determination to achieve the ultimate end, the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the five transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In the devotional service, there are certain activities called which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadasi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great Acharya for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. As described in the second verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penances and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and and in any position, either as a householder or as a sannyasi or a brahmachari. In any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, a great soul.
Hmm. So, these are symptoms of the Mahatma. So, the first one is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. So, the Prabhupada says, therefore, the Lord is not impersonal. So, Sri Prabhupada in his lectures, he says, for the impersonalists, it's very difficult. Their practice are very difficult because according to them, the Supreme Lord has no form, no qualities. Then what they'll speak about? They have nothing to speak about because the absolute truth is no qualities, cannot be glorified, cannot be explained. But here Krishna is saying Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. So Krishna himself is speaking, he is a person. So it's very clear that he is not impersonal, he's a person. Okay, so that's the first thing. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Satatam, always. So always glorifying the Supreme Lord. So talking about Kirtan, so reading this, somebody may say, okay, so I'll sit and do Kirtan, chant Hare Krishna, japa and Kirtan throughout the day. So what is a very broad definition of Kirtan that Srila Prabhupada gave? Yes, so Kirtan can mean glorifying the Lord in any way. So there's one lecture where Srila Prabhupada says, Kirtan means you can glorify with music, you can glorify with words, You can glorify with painting. So many different ways one can glorify. So ultimately, whatever we are doing is to glorify the Lord. All services are meant for that only ultimately. So deity worship, that is also glorification. Cooking, that is also glorification. So ultimately, everything is glorification of Supreme Lord. So therefore, Satanam Kirtayanto Mam involves all the different services to glorify. Okay, next is Yatantascha Drida Vrataha, fully endeavoring. And so Prabhupada says that yes, so endeavor means all activities, mental, bodily, vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So everything can be engaged. So yatanta, endeavoring with great determination, drida vrataha. So to follow the various rules and regulations of devotional service requires determination. So now here, the symptoms of Mahatma are being told, correct? So sometimes one thinks, okay, who needs to follow rules and regulations? Those are in yellow. So after I become senior, don't ask me. Now I'm free. But here what Krishna is telling? Even the Mahatmas endeavor with great determination to follow all the rules and regulations. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. So it's a total misunderstanding to think that those who are advanced, those who are on bhava, prema, they don't follow rules and regulations. It's a total misunderstanding. Now, Srila Prabhupada clearly explains in the Nectar of Devotion, this is 16th chapter. Srila Prabhupada explains that how even those who are on the Raganuga platform, bhava, prema, they also follow all the rules and regulations very strictly. Because first of all, one who's advanced never thinks he's advanced. That is the first symptom. Correct? So therefore, one who's advanced always thinks I'm neophyte. And therefore, if one thinks one is neophyte, then he strictly follows. So therefore, it is not that as one progresses, makes advancement, then one need not follow the rules and regulations. That is a total misunderstanding. So the actual understanding is that one understands that rules and regulations are meant for what? Meant for what? Hmm? Purification. One step ahead of that. Say? Yes, pleasing Krishna. Ultimately, smartavya satatam Vishnu vismartavya na jatuchit sarve vidhi nishedasyor etayor eva kinkar. All rules and regulations are ultimately meant for one purpose, and that is always remembering Krishna and not forgetting. So all rules and regulations are meant for that purpose. So therefore, the as one progresses, the consciousness with which one follows rules and regulations changes. So in the initial stages, one follows rules and regulations. Why? What is that impetus?
Bhakti. But he also comes. And for someone who is practicing spontaneous devotional, he also comes at 4:30. But for him, that impetus is different. It's not attendance.
What is that?
It is spontaneous love for Krishna because Aarti is going on.
Correct. So in the initial stages, one comes as mostly as a matter of duty or as an austerity. What to do? I have been told to come. Ah. Nowadays, they are taking attendance. Previously, they were not taking attendance. I was more relaxed. Hmm. So, all this type of mentality is a very neophyte type of mentality. Hmm. If one is if one is thinking like that oh, I have to come now, they're taking attendance. So if one is in that type of mood, then it's definitely not spiritual consciousness. Hmm. So so one has to gradually rise above that mentality and understand that. So then one step higher than that is to think that I'm performing this for what? For my own purification. Who's going to get the benefit? I'm only going to get the benefit. If I follow the rules and regulations nicely, I will get purified. I will only get benefit. Correct? It's not for somebody else. It's for me only. So that's one step higher. But then on the highest platform, so from asakti onwards, asakti, bhava, prema, on those stages, a devotee performs devotional service only because, yes, because Krishna likes it, because it's pleasing to Krishna. Therefore, I must do it. So that is the consciousness. And so it is important that as we make progress or as we proceed in our devotional service, then we should make progress in our consciousness, the consciousness with which we perform our different activities. Hmm. So if we are still in the grumbling mood, that I have to do this, I have to do that, and that's not a very healthy sign. That's not a very healthy sign. Actually, there should not be any need of attendance. That is most ideal. There should not be any need for any of the things. At, at least one should perform the activities with the idea that it's for whose benefit? It's for my benefit. At least if Krishna's pleasure seems to be a little far off, but at least one can think, let me be swarthi. Nate vidu. Swartha gati mein, you won't be swarthi, no problem. You be swarthi by worshipping Vishnu. So at least if one thinks of one's own benefit, okay, everyone is selfish, no problem, be selfish. You want to be selfish? No problem. Perform devotional service nicely. That is real selfishness. Hmm. So at least with that consciousness, one should come. And then gradually, of course, one should come to the platform of thinking that, yes, I need to perform because Krishna will be pleased. This is my constitutional position to please Krishna. So that should be the consciousness. And so, therefore, ideally speaking, not that one has to be pulled and pushed and please come and this and that. This is not at all a healthy spiritual atmosphere. This is diseased condition. That means if one has not come out of that type of consciousness, years may pass. That is another thing. Years may pass, but the disease is still there. The disease. What is the disease? What is the disease for which we are in the material world? Yes, enjoying mentality. Enjoying mentality means what? I do? Yes, what I like to do. I will do what I like to do. I will eat when I want. I'll sleep when I want. I'll do whatever I want. So that is enjoying mentality. I'm only concerned about myself. So that's a diseased condition. And that diseased condition is what has brought us to the material world and will keep us in the material world. But if you want to get out of the material world, get out of the material consciousness, then one has to transform this consciousness. The transformation has to take place. Okay. So therefore, even the Mahatma, with full determination, he follows all the rules and regulations. But then the consciousness is different. The consciousness is to please Krishna. Mm. So the Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. Mm. And so you can see that even in the early days when there were no temples in India, reading Giraj Maharaj's book, that time there were no temples in India. But wherever Srila Prabhupada went, he carried his small deities, and wherever he stayed, every day there would be Mangalarti at 4:30. That was the rule. The program would be as usual. Prabhupada's deities would be there, and they would have Mangalarti at 4:30 and everything, the whole morning program, class, everything would be. So that is how Srila Prabhupada himself was so strict to follow all that. And then what to speak if somebody is living in a temple? So there Prabhupada was simply living in some well-wisher's house or somebody like that. But still, Prabhupada was strictly following everything. Next is Namasyanta. Namasyanta. Offering obeisances. What is so great about offering obeisances? Huh? In the qualities of Mahatma, this is being mentioned, Namasyanta, offering obeisances. What is so great about it? Okay, develop humility, that's correct. Huh? Okay, he says example for us. Okay, that's also correct. You're speaking to yourself.
Guruji, this in this 9 process of bhakti, Navabhida bhakti may we say Vandanam, no, Guruji? That is also bowing down, you know.
Vandanam is offering prayers.
Offering prayers. So Namastyantas, bowing down is always
Okay,
cumulative of that offering prayers and
okay, fine. Okay, so when one bows down, also one is supposed to offer some prayers. Anything else? Paramatma is in everyone's heart, so is offering obeisances. Okay, that's also correct.
To please Lord,
To please the Lord. How?
offering obeisances.
Okay, that's correct. That's correct.
Humility also comes by offering.
Okay,
So
humility comes. Okay, agreed.
While offering obeisances, we are supposed to think that we are our head is kept at the lotus feet of the Lord. In that way, we are submitting ourselves completely and surrendering ourselves completely to the Lord.
Okay, submitting ourselves and surrendering everything to the Lord. Okay, good. Okay, that's a good point.
By bowing down, it's an indication that I am showing that I have no false ego.
Okay, at least one is showing. Okay.
I can remember like Lord is very great, and we are that bhav we have reverence, awe and reverence.
Okay.
But when there is a love, then
so when there's love, he doesn't offer obeisance.
there is that is automatically it is there. that respect is there.
Hmm.
But when we pay, then it will not be not that much proper it is. Matlab, when there is a love, we, we cannot show by that way. That respect will be done in other way. Just like Soda Mata, Lord is great, but Soda Mata not paying the obeisances because then it will
She's
be.
showing stick.
So, kya
So why here for Mahatma Namasyanta is being mentioned? That is only the question. So Mahatma is like Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda does not offer obeisances. Then why it is mentioned here?
so that is already there. That obeisances will respecting the Lord and all that. Jo bhi, matlab, giving respects. But
Main point क्या है आपका?
because Lord is very great, we are
Okay.
paying the obeisances. That is the
Okay,
point.
okay. We understand Lord is great, therefore we pay. Okay, Vittal. Okay, he thinks I'm servant, yes. So the basic act of offering obeisances shows that I am surrendering everything, body, mind, words, everything. So just like in Ashta Anga and Pancha Anga. Ashta Anga Pranam, Pancha Anga Pranam. So what is this Ashta Anga and Pancha Anga?
In Stang Pranam, all the 8 parts of the body are like
वो कौन सा है आठ? कौन सा है आठ?
like our head and our chest and
ए चुप बोलो. हाँ बोलो बोलो.
and then our 2 hands, legs.
कितने हो गए अभी तक?
4 तो 6 हो गए.
हाँ 6 हो गए, ठीक है. और 2 कौन है?
Nose.
अच्छा. हेड में नोज आ जाता है ना. एक. हाँ ठीक है. और कोई बताओ बाकी 2 कौन है? ईगो. अच्छा. वैष्णव एटिकेट बुक है कि यहाँ पे कहीं?
So ji, head 1,
हाँ
2 hands,
हाँ
2 legs.
हाँ.
Then one is chest. I don't know, but then there is a vacha, speech,
हाँ.
and mind.
Hmm.
These are 2 are important.
Correct.
BMW.
So along with the bodily parts, the mind, the intelligence and words are all
Voice break.
all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything in the service of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So even that offering obeisances, everything comes. So therefore, when one offers obeisances, what one should do when one offers obeisances? Recite the pranam mantra. Yes, the pranam mantra of the particular deity to whom one is offering obeisances. One needs to, and it's actually said one should recite those mantras a little loudly, not in the mind. So that's how the voice is being used. So we are surrendering everything. So the act of offering obeisances is actually an act of surrendering, an act of surrendering one's body, mind, words, everything at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So, as I remember hearing from one devotee, so he says that, so we are placing our head at the feet of another person. So, what does it indicate? We are accepting that you are great, I'm insignificant. So I'm an insignificant servant. So basically, so Namasyanta is not simply a physical act of offering obeisances. So again, everything is based on consciousness. So as we all know, the pastor Gargamuni proved. So initially, he did not even feel like offering obeisances. So initially, we may offer obeisances simply as a matter of austerity, duty, etiquette. But then we hear how the greatest of the devotees, like Raghunath Das Goswami, they also would offer obeisances. How many times? 2000 or 1000? So they were also offering so many obeisances. But what was their consciousness when they offered obeisances? So they were in that proper consciousness. So they were in the proper consciousness that I'm offering obeisances because here within the body of this person there is Jivatma, there is Paramatma. So let me surrender. So with that consciousness, they offer the Mahatmas, the greatest of the devotees, they also offer obeisances, but with the proper consciousness.
In the Hari Bhakti Vilas tell how to offer obeisances,
Hmm.
how to offer Dandavat Pranam. Offer obeisances with 8 angas: your feet, knees, chest, hands, head, sight, mind, and words.
Sight, mind, words.
With your 2 feet, knees, chest, hand, and head touching the ground, with your eyes downcast and half open, recite a suitable prayers while meditating that your head is under the Lord's lotus feet.
Head is under the Lord's lotus.
Your hand should be extended out in front of your head, not next to your head or tucked in your next to your chest.
Correct. Of course, sometimes space constrictions are there. And Panchang?
To make Panchanga Pranam, offer obeisances with 5 angas: knees, arms, head, intellect, and words.
So your intellect and words are there. So anyway, mind, intellect, words. So everything is offered to the Supreme Lord. So therefore, it's an act of surrender which everyone does. And so the Mahatmas, they also want to surrender. They're on the highest platform of surrender. And so therefore, Namasyanta, Namasyanta, Namasyanta chamam bhaktya. But they're doing all these activities, how? Bhaktya, in devotion. So what does devotion mean? अभी बताए ना पंचांग प्रणाम में भी मन वर्ड्स दोनों में है। पंचांग में भी है, अष्टांग में भी है। मन, बुद्धि, वाचा सब है। So therefore it is important that when one is offering obeisances, one be conscious of what one is doing. It should not simply be mechanical. There was one, Shrutakirti Prabhu tells this pastime. There was one Srila Prabhupada secretary, and his name was Nimai Das or Nitai Das, anyway, whatever. So, so he was. So as we know, the secretary every afternoon, as Srila Prabhupada would have his massage, then what the secretary would do? Yes, he would read letters and Prabhupada would dictate the answers. So this devotee, he was coming with one letter. So he would come with one letter. Srila Prabhupada would dictate the answer. He would offer obeisances, go out, bring the next letter, offer obeisances, then he would read. Like that, this was happening. 4 or 5 times this was happening. So after some time, Srila Prabhupada said, what is this hatchet obeisances? H-A-T-C-H-E-T, hatchet. Hatchet means what? Axe, kuladi. So that means Srila Prabhupada wanted to say, what is this mechanical obeisances? So of course, Srila Prabhupada, he knew everything, what is actually happening in the mind. So this devotee was actually offering obeisances mechanically. And Prabhupada knew that. He was not offering with respect. He was doing it mechanically. And so Shrutakirti Prabhu says that, needless to say, after some months or a year or so, this devotee left. Because he did not really have respect. He didn't have respect. He was simply doing it mechanically. So on the path of bhakti, nothing is mechanical or ritualistic. So there is spiritual and there is ritual. So we should not do things ritually. We should do spiritually. So spiritually means, as it says here, bhaktya, bhaktya, with devotion. With devotion means what? Yes, desire to please. Oh, myself. That's important. So desire to please Guru and Krishna. That is bhaktya. So therefore, Krishna is specifically saying here, namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate upasate, worships me perpetually. So these are the symptoms of Mahatma. So this is a homework question for you. So tomorrow everyone has to tell one Prabhupada pastime. Okay? Okay, 15th verse. ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम्. Others. So he's saying others. So till now in the two verses he described whom? Mahatmas. Now he says anye, others. Others are of three categories. So on one hand there are Mahatmas, and then there are others who can be categorized into these three categories. So what are those three categories? Ekatvena, Pritatvena Bahuda, and Vishwato Mukham. So Ekatvena refers to the monists who worship the self as one with the Lord. So Prabhupada writes, they are the lowest and most predominant. And that is what we see in the world. Most religious organizations, they're all Mayavadis. But they are the lowest. And that has already been described in the 11th and the 12th verses. Then the next is Pritatvena Bahuda. So they concoct many forms as the supreme. So monist means he worships oneself as the supreme. Pritatvena Bahuda means they concoct different forms as the supreme. And so that is basically demigod worship. And that is described in the section from 20 to 25. And the third category is Vishwato Mukham, those who worship the universal form. That is described in verses 16 to 19. Worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second. Means basically, one thinks everyone is supreme. That is the meaning there. Ekatvena, one, without a second. That means everyone is supreme. That is the monist. All of them are? Yes. See, as Prabhupada is writing here, anyway, somebody read the purport.
Wrote, this verse is summary of previous verses.
Hmm.
The Lord tells
Actually,
Arjuna,
it is summary of previous verses and future verses.
the Lord tells Arjuna that those who are purely in a Krishna consciousness and do not know anything other than Krishna are called Mahatma. Yet there are other persons who are not exactly in a position of Mahatma, but who worship Krishna also in a different ways.
Okay, so they are also worshipping Krishna only, but in different ways.
Some of them have already been described as the distressed, the financially destitute, the inquisitive, and those who are engaged in a cultivation of knowledge. But there are others who are still lower,
Okay, so those are also devotees, mixed devotees, but these are still lower.
and these are divided into three. He who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord.
Okay, so that is what is Ekatvena. And that is what in the translation is mentioned is worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second. So, or he who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord.
He who concords some form of the Supreme Lord and worship that.
So, this is Pritaktvena Bahuda.
He who accepts the universal form, the Vishwarupa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right, Vishwatomukha.
And worship that. Out of the above three, the lowest those who worship themselves as Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monist, are most predominant. Such a people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality, they worship themselves. This is also type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually spiritual soul. At least such a sense is prominent.
Yeah, so at least they know that I'm spirit soul. And so they but their understanding is the spirit soul and Paramatma are the same. But at least they understand that I'm not the body. So therefore, he's saying, okay, that is also one type of God worship.
Generally, the impersonalists worship the Supreme Lord in this way. The second class includes the worshippers of the demigods, those who by imaginations consider any form to be the form of Supreme Lord. And the third class includes those who cannot conceive of anything beyond the manifestation of this material universe. They consider the universe to be supreme organism or entity and worship that. The universe is also form of the Lord.
Okay, so that's Vishwatama. Okay, fine. We'll take a break and then Hare Krishna. Okay, so 16 to 19 is Vishwatomukam, worshippers of the universal form. That means saying different aspects of the universe in connection to the Supreme Lord. So that's Vishwatomukam. Now, this is a broad span. 16. Aham kraturaham yajna swadaham aham aushadham mantroham aham evajam aham agniraham hutam. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant, I am the butter and the fire and the offering. Purport.
The Vedic sacrifice, known as Jyotishmaya, is also Krishna, and he is also Mahayagya, mentioned in the Smriti. The oblations offered to the Pitraloka, the sacrifice performed to please the Pitraloka, considered as a kind of drug in the form of clarified butter, is also Krishna. The mantras chanted in this connection are also Krishna. And many other communities made with milk products for offering in the sacrifice are also Krishna. The fire is also Krishna because fire is one of the five material elements, and is therefore claimed as the separated energy of Krishna. In other words, the Vedic sacrifice recommended in the Karmakanda division of the Vedas are in total also Krishna. Or in other words, those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifice recommended in the Vedas.
Okay, so you can see that how ultimately everything has a connection to Krishna because Krishna is the creator of everything. So nothing can be separate from Krishna. The Aham Kratu, Kratu means the Vedic rituals, Aham Yajna, uh, Swadha, Swadha means the oblation of the butter. Aushadam. Hmm. So therefore, the Aushadhi also doesn't work unless Krishna gives sanction. Hmm. So therefore, in Ayurveda, they say even while taking medicines, one should remember the Supreme Lord. Huh? So, because only if the Lord sanctions, the medicine will have effect. Otherwise, if the Lord doesn't sanction, medicine also cannot have effect. Mantroham. So, in this way, all aspects of the Vedic sacrifices are also Krishna. So, therefore, nothing can be separate from Krishna. So, even though one may be performing karmakanda rituals, also, of course, ultimately the enjoyer of all sacrifices is Krishna. And the Agni is Krishna. And so Prabhupada is concluding by saying, therefore, one who has come to devotional service has already performed all these various other yajnas. 17. Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha vedyam pavitram onkara riksamaya jurevacha. Purport.
The entire cosmic manifestations, moving and non-moving, are manifestations by different activities of Krishna's energy. In the material existence, we create different relationships with different living entities who are nothing but Krishna's marginal energy. Under the creation of Prakriti, some of them appears as our father, mother, grandfather, created, etc. But actually, they are parts and parcels of Krishna. As such, these living entities who appear to be our father, mother, etc., are nothing but Krishna. In this verse, the word Dhata means creator. Not only our father and mother, parts and parcel of Krishna, but the creator, grandmother, and grandfather, etc., are also Krishna. Actually, any living entity being part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. All the Vedas, therefore, aim only towards Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is but a progressive step towards understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us purify our constitutional position is especially Krishna. Similarly, the living entity who is inquisitive to understand all Vedic principles, is also part and parcel of Krishna, and as such is also Krishna. In all the Vedic mantras, the word Om, called Pranava, is a transcendental sound vibration and is also Krishna. And because the Pranava or Omkar is very prominent in all the hymns of the four Vedas, Sama, Yajur, Ruk, and Atharva, they are also understood to be Krishna. Suppose
Huh?
living entities are also called Krishna.
So you know the philosophy. What is the philosophy?
Oneness and continuity.
Achintya, Bheda, Abheda. So yes, from one perspective, as good as Krishna. That is qualitatively. So because parts and parcels of Krishna. So Krishna is mother, Krishna is father. So therefore, somebody becomes father and mother and they're able to act as father and mother only because Krishna is allowing them to do so. Without Paramatma, how anything can exist? Yes, that is true. But then they can function as father and mother only because Krishna allows them to do that. Because they are able to maintain only because Krishna is providing them, they maintain the children. If Krishna doesn't provide to them, how they'll maintain children? So there's one purport where Srila Prabhupada is explaining, I'm not remembering which one. He's explaining that how it is sinful if one does not serve one's father and mother. I'm forgetting the context in which he writes. So in any case, so he writes this statement, it is sinful if one does not serve one's father and mother. So somebody may think, oh, that means we should serve father and mother. Then immediately he writes, then what about the Supreme Father and Mother? Huh? So yes, so therefore, the Supreme Father and Mother allow somebody to become father and mother. And therefore, the real duty is to the Supreme Father and Mother. And of course, all other duties are done in relationship to Him. So that is what the living entity who appeared as Chitraketu's son, who was that? Harshashok. So that is what he told his father and mother. What he told? What he told is, इनको बताने दो. What Harshashok told Chitraketu Maharaj?
He told that you both are not my mother and father.
He said like that, you're not my father and mother.
Real.
Yeah, so he said, in which body you are my father and mother? I had so many fathers and mothers. So there, Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse. Of course, in lectures also he quotes. What is that? He says, he doesn't say who wrote that. He says some poet. Janme janme pita mata pai. Guru Krishna. Something that's there, no? In every life, one can get father and mother because without father and mother, how one is born? Father and mother has to be there. But it is not possible to get Guru Krishna in every life. So that is very rare. But the point is that the ultimate father and mother is Krishna. And only when they sanction can somebody maintain us, can somebody help us. So all that is possible only when Krishna sanctions. So therefore, our ultimate service has to be towards Krishna. So he is the father, he is the mother, the support. Pitaham asya jagatah mata data. Data is support. Pitamaha. So he is the one who gives the Vedas, Vedyam, Pavitram, Omkara. We all read that. Omkara is impersonal sound vibration of the Supreme Lord. All the Vedas are coming from. Okay, fine. 18. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Surat Prabhava Pralayasthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. Purport.
Gati means the destination where we want to go, but the ultimate goal is Krishna, although people do not know it. One who does not know Krishna is misled, and his so called progressive march is either partial or hallucinatory. There are many who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods, they reach different planets known as Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, Maharloka, etc. But all such lokas or planets being creations of Krishna are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Such planets being manifestations of Krishna's energy are also Krishna, but actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. One should directly approach Krishna, for that will save time and energy. For example, if there is a possibility of going to the top of a building by the help of an elevator, why should one go by the staircase step by step? Everything is resting on Krishna's energy. Therefore, without Krishna's shelter, nothing can exist. Krishna is the supreme ruler because everything belongs to him and everything exists on his energy. Krishna, being situated in everyone's heart, is the supreme witness. The residences, countries, or planets on which we live are also Krishna. Krishna is the ultimate goal of shelter, and therefore one should take shelter of Krishna either for protection or for annihilation of his distress. And whenever we have to take protection, we should know that our protection must be a living force. Krishna is the supreme living entity, and since Krishna is the source of our generation or the supreme father, no one can be a better friend than Krishna, nor can anyone be a better well wisher. Krishna is the original source of creation and the ultimate rest after annihilation. Krishna is therefore the eternal cause of all causes.
Yes. So this is approaching Krishna. All this are various ways to approach Krishna indirectly through his different energies. So of course, Srila Prabhupada, therefore, he says, is highlighting that Siddhanta, Shakti, Shaktimatiyor Abheda. Therefore, he says, all such lokas or planets being creations of Krishna are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Okay, so that's how energy, energetic, simultaneously one and different. But then further on, he says, such planets being manifestations of Krishna's energy are also Krishna, but actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. One should directly approach Krishna. That will save time and energy. But of course, in the initial stages, it is not possible for one to approach Krishna directly because one does not have that realization. So therefore, initially, it is easier to see different aspects of the creation as energies of Krishna, as or has some connection to the Supreme. So that is why that is the first step of God realization, to see different aspects of the universe as connected to the Supreme. So he is Gati, he is the ultimate destination for everyone, even though somebody may not know it, but ultimately he is the destination. So even if somebody says, okay, my destination is Devatas, but Devatas are also parts and pulses of Krishna. Or if somebody says my destination is hell, hellish planets are also Krishna. Correct? So therefore, ultimately, everyone's destination is Krishna only. Because without connection to Krishna, nobody can get anything. Gatir, Bharta, he's the sustainer. So therefore, no one else is the sustainer. Neither should one think that one is sustaining somebody else. So brahmacharis may think, those who are preachers, they may think they're sustaining their counselees, correct? Who sustains? Only Krishna. Hmm. So that is what we find in the pastime of Dhritarashtra. When Dhritarashtra and Gandhari left home to go to the forest after who's preaching? Vidura strong preaching, they left to the forest. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj began to lament because till then he was taking care of his uncle and aunt. So they left to the forest without telling anyone. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj started lamenting. He said, "Oh, my poor uncle and aunt, who will take care of them in the forest? Wild animals will attack." Then who came? Yes, the Narada Muni came and told Yudhishthira Maharaj, "Don't worry. In the forest, the Lord is taking care of so many animals, birds, beasts, trees, so many things the Lord is taking care. Why he won't take care of your uncle and aunt? He'll take care." And then he told them, okay, then Yudhishthira Maharaj thought maybe at least for the Antim Kriya I have to go to the forest. Then Narada Muni said, no, you don't have to go for that also. Automatically fire will come from their bodies and burn the bodies. Don't have to do anything. So that is how. So especially as brahmacharis is very important. So sometimes one may think, oh, I have to maintain my parents. Of course, we need to do our duty. It does not mean we become irresponsible. Whatever duty is there, we have to perform. But one has to understand that ultimately Krishna will maintain everyone. So, many years back, there was one brahmachari. And so when he became brahmachari, then the mother started weeping and crying and so, who will look after me? What is this? You're irresponsible, this, that. So the brahmachari, he was new and so he was not so fixed up. And so because of the emotional blackmailing of the mother, so then he left the ashram and got married. So then he got married and then the mother was staying. And then what happens? Then another yuddha starts. Everyone knows. Mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. And then what the wife will tell? Separate. Then what the mother will do? So this is what happens. So therefore, no one can take care of anyone. That is the ultimate thing. Everything is a big illusion. That's all. This one will take care, that one will take care, all big illusion. No one can take care of anyone. Of course, again, whatever duty one has, one should do. It's not that one becomes irresponsible. But at the same time, when there is higher duty, then one should not compromise higher duty for lower duty. So the highest duty is serving the ultimate mother and Krishna. That is the highest duty. So that should not be compromised. Of course, if we serve the Supreme Lord, at the same time take care of Father, Mother, that's fine. But it's not that we sacrifice the higher duty for the lower duty. Because ultimately one has to understand, who can take care of anyone? No.
That it is the illusion if somebody thinks that except Krishna, anyone can take care of us.
Correct. That is true. So that is what Deha Patya Kalatradeshu Atmasaineshu Asasapi Tesham Pramatta Nidanam Pashyanapi na Pashyati. So only when one is pramatta, when one is illusion, mad, then one thinks that all these people will take care of me. No, nobody can take. So therefore Krishna is saying, I am the Bharta, I am the Prabhu, I am the Sakshi, witness for everything. Now today's morning's class also, Prabhupada was saying, no? You can't cheat Krishna. Krishna is everywhere and he is watching. He has eyes everywhere. Yes, he has eyes everywhere. He is watching what everyone is doing, why he's doing. So one cannot cheat. So he's Nivasa, the abode, Sharanam, refuge, Surit, the most intimate friends. Surit, Surit, very close to the heart, closest, Surit. Prabhava, Pralaya, Sthanam, creation, maintenance, destruction, Nidhanam, Bijam. Okay, 19. Tapamyaham maham varsham nigranam yusrujami cha amritam chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat and withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. Purport.
Krishna, by his different energies, diffuses heat and light through the agency of electricity and the sun. During the summer season, it is Krishna who checks rain from falling from the sky. And then during the rainy season, he gives unceasing torrents of rains. The energy which sustains us by prolonging the duration of our life is Krishna. And Krishna meets us at the end of death, as a death. By analyzing all these different energies of Krishna, one can ascertain that for Krishna there is no distinction between matter and spirit, or in other words, he is both matter and spirit. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinction. He sees only Krishna in everything. Since Krishna is both matter and spirit, the gigantic universal form comprising all material manifestation is also Krishna. And his pastimes in Vrindavan are as 200 Shyam Sundar playing on a flute are those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So Krishna says, I give heat, withhold and send forth the rain. So all this is happening because of Krishna's control. So now there is heat, no rain. So somebody is withholding the rain. After some months, then there'll be rain. So how all this is happening? Automatically, correct? By chance. No, not by chance. Krishna is controlling all this. And so, and of course, Prabhupada says in many lectures that if you don't worship Krishna now, you say there's no God, then one will be forced to see God when? At the time of death. Mrityu. Then here he says Sat, Asat cha aham. I am both Sat and Asat. I am both spirit and matter. So Prabhupada writes this very important and interesting statement here. He is both matter and spirit. And before that, for Krishna, there is no distinction between matter and spirit. Or in other words, he is both matter and spirit. So therefore, from Krishna's viewpoint, there is no difference between material energy, spiritual energy, no difference matter and spirit. Because from Krishna's viewpoint, it's all the same because everything is coming from him. So therefore, everything is Krishna. Therefore, there's no difference for Krishna. So the difference is only for us based upon our consciousness. Prabhupada's famous example is what? Yes, the microphone. Is this matter or spirit? Yes, depends on what is used for. So otherwise, from Krishna's viewpoint, it's all his energy. So therefore, from Krishna's viewpoint, there's no difference. Of course, we do understand there is a difference. One is sentient, one is insentient. There is a difference. But at the same time, from Krishna's viewpoint, there's no difference because both are coming from him. So therefore, when one is advanced, then he makes no such distinction because he sees everything as Krishna. Sthavar, Jangam, Deki, Na Deki Taramuti, Sarvatra Hoy Nijishta Devas. Because he sees everything coming from Krishna. So therefore, when one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, then one is careful to use everything because one sees everything as Krishna's energy. Okay, so this is the end of this section of the worshippers of the universal form, those who see different aspects of the universe in connection to the Supreme. So, of course, as far as those worshippers are concerned, they may not know who is Krishna. They only understand that different aspects of the universe have some connection to the Supreme. But as far as we are concerned, we perfectly understand that everything has a connection to Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God. Hmm?
But like we can see that living entity can go back to Krishna, they can perform devotional service. Stone cannot do devotional service. So and living entity becomes more dear to Krishna because they are. So then how can we say there is no difference?
Yes, there is no difference in the sense that both are coming from Krishna. In that sense, there is no difference. Both are coming from Krishna and both can be engaged in Krishna service.
It's like
so therefore, the philosophy of oneness and difference always exists. That philosophy always exists. So therefore, they both are one in the sense that both are coming from Krishna. But at the same time, there is a difference also. Therefore, Krishna is distinguishing na para prakriti or para prakriti. But both are prakriti and both are coming from whom? Both are coming from Krishna. So from that viewpoint, there is no difference because both of them are Krishna's energies. But at the same time, there is a difference. Therefore, Krishna is saying one is superior, another is inferior. Superior, inferior means what? There is a difference. So both that principle always exists. There is a difference, at the same time, there is no difference.
also in previous verses, he mentioned the names of three Vedas. But Atharva Veda is missing.
Yeah, it is there in many places you'll find that.
Any specific reason for it?
So what I heard is, I couldn't find any definite Shastric reference for that. I'll have to find out. But then what I heard is that the Atharva Veda is like a sort of summary of all the other three Vedas. And so therefore, the main things are there in the other three Vedas. The Atharva Veda is just like a summary. And therefore, sometimes it's not taken into consideration. That's what I heard. I have to find out something more definitive. Okay, so that's the end of this section. Now, huh? Bolo?
Right. That this so-called matter is also spiritual.
Correct.
So we should see it as a spiritual or
So
it
what
as
exactly is
spiritual as-
saying?
I'll take some time to find out. for you.
Okay, fine. No problem. But yes, that Siddhanta is correct. Okay, so now we go to the next section, Pritatvena Bahuda. Those who concoct different forms to be the supreme, and that's basically worship of the demigods. Now, Krishna has already spoken about demigod worship in the 7th chapter. So these are some points of revision, you can say. 20. Traividyamam somapaputta papa yajnerištva svargatim prarthayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. So we are aware of this philosophy. We hear it many times. So those who are the knowers of again here it's a three Vedas, Trividya, three Vedas. So they are worshipping me, Trividya, Mam, the word Mam is coming. So they are worshipping me only, but at the same time it is indirectly. So they bring the Somapa, Puta. So they get purified by performing these Vedic sacrifices. They get purified of their various sins, and they attain to the heavenly planets. Surendra Lokam, Sura Indra, the king of the Suras, Sura Indra Lokam, and they enjoy over there. Okay, but after enjoying, what happens? Tetam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam Shine punye martalokam vishanti Evam trayi dharmam manu prapanna Gata gatam kama kama labhante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of the pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus, those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Purport.
One who is promoted to the higher planetary system enjoy the longer duration of life and better facilities for sense enjoyment. Yet one is not allowed to stay there forever. One is again sent back to the earth upon finishing the resultant fruits of the past activities. He who has not attained the perfection of knowledge is indicated in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadi Yasya Yata, or in other words, he who fails to understand Krishna, the cause of all causes, becomes baffled about the achieving the ultimate goal of life and is thus subjected to the routine of being promoted to the higher planets and then again coming down, as if situated on a Ferris wheel, which sometimes goes up and sometimes come down. The purpose is that instead of being elevated to the spiritual world, from which there is no longer any possibility of coming down, one simply revolves in a cycle of birth and death on a higher and lower planetary system. One should better take to the spiritual world to enjoy the eternal life full of bliss and knowledge and never return to this miserable material existence.
Okay, Kshine punye martalokam vishanti. What is Prabhupada's example for that? One is Ferris wheel, another? When the punya is exhausted, one has come down. Okay, that is one. Aeroplane, the rocket goes up, the fuel is exhausted, one has to come down. The fuel is compared to the punya. So when the punya is exhausted, one will have to come down. So what's the use? So one simply has to go up and down. Now, as Krishna is speaking about these demigod worshippers, he wants to compare them with the pure devotees. And so therefore the next verse is about his pure devotees. Though this entire section is about demigod worshippers from 2025, in the middle he inserts one verse about his pure devotees. So that's how Krishna is so eager to speak about his pure devotees. But in any case, we'll just complete the section on the demigods and then we'll come back to the 22nd verse. 23rd. Ye apyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha te api mameva kaunteya yajantya vidhi purvakam. Those are devotees of other gods and worship them with faith, actually worship only me, O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. Purport.
Persons who are engaged in the worship of demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is offered to me indirectly. Krishna says, for example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to different parts of body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different officers and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidhi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods.
If some outsider reads this, he'll say, what is this? Who doesn't offer bribe? Who says offering bribe is illegal? But in any case, so worshipping the devatas is like offering bribe. So therefore, one should only worship the Supreme Lord. So it is indirect worship, avidhi purvakam. So it is worship of the Supreme Lord, but it is indirect, illegal. So it is not required. So if one waters the root of the tree, automatically the water goes. Similarly, if one worships the Supreme Lord, automatically the devatas will be satisfied. 24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mam abhijananti tatve nataschavanti te. So why it is called indirect worship? He's explaining in this verse. Okay, so previous verse he said it is avidhi purvakam, illegal, indirect. Why it is indirect? He's explaining in this verse. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So, because he is the only enjoyer, ahami sarva yajnana bhokta cha prabhurevacha. So, therefore, worshipping the demigods is indirect or illegal. Because if Krishna is ultimate enjoyer, bhokta, then everything should go to him, no, directly. Why go through the devatas? So sometimes in government offices, they're middlemen, right? Agents. So I'm sure many of us have experience in government offices, what happens. So something can go directly to that main officer, but in between some people are sitting. And they say, if you go through us, what will happen? It will go for your, ah. So saying that, they take money. So something which can go directly, these people are doing in between work. Indirect. Therefore, it's indirect. So Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer. Everything is supposed to go to Krishna directly. Now the demigods are in between. They're saying, no, you go through us. Of course, they are not saying, these people think like that. So they think, okay, if we go to Krishna directly, maybe he'll give, maybe he won't give. But if we go through these devatas, certainly we'll get what we want. So it is like middlemen. So therefore, it is indirect. So therefore, Krishna is saying this is indirect, this is illegal, because ultimate enjoyer is Krishna. So therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices, because I am the supreme master. Less intelligent persons, however, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence. And then what is the destination of the demigod worshippers? Next verse. Yanti devavata devan pitrin yanti pitravrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajnopi mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among demigods. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. Purport.
If one has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose, such as the process technically known as Darsa Purnamas. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yagya. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, rakshas, and pisas. Pisacha worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art and they think that it is spiritualism. But such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worship the supreme personality of Godhead only achieve the planets of Vaikuntha and Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pitas achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing black arts achieve the ghostly planet, why can the pure devotee
not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu. Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. The Krishna conscious movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead.
So whomever one worships, one goes there. Read this.
She is a prostitute. That's all Krishna says. Yanti Deva Vrta Devan. How you nonsense say that everyone goes to God. This is nonsense. You can go to Shiva, you can go to Indra, you can go. There are so many planets and you will go there. And that is reasonable. And how do you say that whatever whatever ticket I purchase, I go to this Delhi? Therefore, they are nonsense, mudha, rascals. They do not know what is God, what is demigod, what is Lord Shiva, what is Lord Vishnu or Brahma. They do not know. If a woman says, "Oh, everyone is my husband," then she is prostitute. That's all.
Mm. So yes, so that's when people worship anyone, you can go to the supreme. No, that is prostitutes. Okay, fine. So the rest of the verses are dealing with pure devotional service. So including the 22nd verse, and then from the 26th verse onwards, they're all dealing with pure devotional service. Very important verses. All those verses are very, very important. Having a clear understanding is the basis of a devotional service. So very important. So we'll begin that discussion tomorrow. Chicken? And we will end the class, then you announce. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Krishna. So tomorrow we will be having this class from 2 to 4.